Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. I'm going to start with this. Y'all ready for this? I had to see why Mel Gibson was trending. Oh boy. And let me tell you something. I pray to God this movie gets made before it's too late. Mel Gibson directing film about the Rothschild family and hitting the New World Order. And we see here, this is what the movie's about. These bankers have indebted the entire world through organizations like the Bank of International Settlements and the World Bank, and through global organizations such as the United Nations, CFR, Bilderberg Group. With every single mention of the Rothschild family, the media around the world has already declared war on the director and wants to stop not only the production of the film, but punish Gibson himself. Now, why do they want to punish him? For what? Telling the truth? Telling people what's really going on? And if he makes this film, we need to get this trending everywhere. Everyone needs to see this movie because it's going to be a movie that tells the truth of what's going on as far as Agenda 2030. I'm sure it will. The Rothschild family owns the money system and all the banks in the world, including the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank. They can print as much money as they wish since 1815. All the power in the world is in the hands of one family only. And you see here, the Federal Reserve, the Rothschild-owned Federal Reserve Central Bank controls our money supply and interest rates, and thereby manipulates the entire economy, creating inflation or deflation, recession or boom, and sending the stock market up or down at a whim. The Federal Reserve, a privately owned Rothschild central banking cartel, charging taxpayers interest on the money they can print out of thin air since 1913. We need to stop the money printing, and I do believe it's coming to an end. The BRICS pulling Saudi Arabia away from the U.S. would put a stop to the money printing. The petrodollar would die. The latest in a series of giant enforcement actions against Wells Fargo for cheating its customers shows that regulatory system is failing to rein in a rogue bank. And we see here, CFPB took steps in response to what is called illegal practices affecting over 16 million customer accounts. Wells was found to have repeatedly misapplied loan payments, wrongfully foreclosed on homes, improperly repossessed vehicles, and incorrectly assessed interest and fees, including surprise overdraft charges. Wells Fargo, it seems, was behaving like the bank from hell. Now, if they can't get a bank under control, how are they ever going to get crypto under control? Who is going to regulate crypto? Who knows how to regulate it? And again, you have to rely on the government to do that. These people have no clue about crypto, period. They always say they're looking out for the retail investor. We know better. They're looking out for the institutional money, the big banks. Federal Reserve Building today is the bank run almost upon us, and we see a wall around the Federal Reserve. And a lot of people believe that it's going to happen at some point this year. That's how soon they expect it to happen. I think it might take a little bit longer for the current financial system to absolutely go to zero, but they're definitely pushing for it. So it's not just chase, iceberg ahead. Banks aren't safe if they fail. You know how many times I've heard over time, it's as good as money in the bank? Well, how good is the money in the bank really? And how good is the U.S. money in general? Because it's backed by literally nothing. And that's why I don't trust the banks anymore. In this video, I'm going to talk about bail-ins once again. It's something you need to share with everyone you know, whether they're in crypto or not. Because a bail-in can easily be about the wealth transfer that we always talk about inside of crypto. You always hear, it's going to be the greatest transfer of wealth in our time. Well, how can that happen? Well, what happens if bail-ins happen and all of a sudden people's wealth is just wiped away by the bank? And guess what? It can happen. Executive Order 14067 CBDC signed by Joe Biden, March 2022, will make your money worthless. But what I want to point out is what the FDIC had to say. FDIC bankers discussed the coming business collapse and how to prevent public freakout. They talk about a bail-in as well. Government gives money, your tax dollars, to private company to prevent its financial collapse. That's a bailout. Now, a bail-in is a financial institution seizes customer deposits to save itself from financial collapse. In exchange for the funds, the institution gives the customer shares, likely unsaleable, in the failing company. So what are you going to get? Worthless shares for whatever money you have in the bank? That's why I got away from the banks. I just don't trust the banks anymore. Whatever I would put in savings, I put in crypto. Read 12/20/22, bank bail in. So let's take a look at this. Now, what could cause the current financial system to collapse? Well, excessive debt, which our country already has. When a country or individual takes on too much debt, it can become unstable and lead to financial collapse. Economic recession. A prolonged economic downturn can lead to a financial collapse as business struggle to stay afloat and individuals struggle to pay their debts. Inflation. When the value of money decreases significantly, it can lead to a financial collapse as people's purchasing power is eroded. Financial mismanagement. Poor decision making by financial institutions, such as risky investments or fraudulent activities, can lead to a financial collapse. Natural disasters. Extreme weather events or other natural disasters can disrupt economic activity and lead to a financial collapse. Political instability. Turmoil in a country's political system can create uncertainty and lead to a financial collapse. I believe we could check off at least two of those already. And too big to fail, the bank bail-in. With the financial collapse, the too big to fail traditional institutions will move in a direction of what's called bank bail-in. Some folks may be scratching their heads going, a bank bail-in? What's that? We've seen and heard bank bailouts and witnessed that firsthand during the 2008 global financial crisis where banks were bailed out by the government and taxpayers. So what's a bank bail-in, if you ask? A bank bail-in is a process in which a troubled financial institution is rescued by having its creditors, depositors, and other stakeholders absorb losses. Me and you, if we have money in the bank, we would absorb the bank's losses. Rather than having the government provide financial assistance, this can be seen as an alternative to a traditional bank bailout, in which the government provides financial support to a struggling bank in order to prevent it from failing. Bail-ins are intended to address the too big to fail problem, where large interconnected financial institutions are considering so important to the overall financial system that their failure could have serious consequences. By requiring creditors and other stakeholders to bear some of the cost of the bank's financial difficulties, the hope is that it will reduce the incentive for banks to engage in risky behavior and make them more resilient to financial shocks. Now, we've seen this happen already around the world. Bail-ins have been used in a number of countries around the world in recent years, including Cyprus, Italy, and Spain. However, they can be controversial, as they may result in significant losses for depositors and other stakeholders, and could potentially undermine public confidence in the financial system. But I believe they're pushing towards this. At some point, you're going to go to your bank and the doors are going to be locked. And then all of a sudden, whatever wealth you had is gone. Then they hand you shares. The shares are worthless. And FDIC doesn't even have enough money to handle a problem if it happens throughout the entire country all at once, which I believe they're pushing us into. By golly, you don't say. IRS official, crypto is here to stay and becoming more legitimate. And the reason they're talking about crypto becoming more legitimate is because they want to collect the tax dollars from it. That's what my opinion is on this. Because we've seen Elizabeth Warren already talking about money laundering and avoiding crypto taxes, things like that over time. They're worried that me and you are going to get rich and not give them their share. Oh, the Fed is using another coin. Yeah, okay. That's why Rosie Rios, who is a part of the board member of Ripple, went to the White House to talk to the US president, right? And the thing is, a lot of people keep saying there's going to be an alternative to XRP. There really is not going to be an alternative. The train has already left the station. Because you see all the partnerships that Ripple has throughout the world. It's just a matter of time. current state of CBDC around the world in 2022. And if you look at this, you see where we are. Pilot phase is most of the BRICS countries. Research and development is where we are. I believe we're falling behind the BRICS countries right now. But at some point, I feel the U.S. is going to catch up. I believe the U.S. is still going to utilize Ripple and XRP. U.S. Senator opposes CBDC, introduces No Digital Dollar Act. So there's some people already looking to not even have a CBDC move forward here in the U.S. The bill will amend the Federal Reserve Act to prohibit the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System from discontinuing Federal Reserve notes. That means they can't get rid of the paper fiat money if a central bank digital currency is issued, and for other purposes according to the text of the bill. By virtue of Section 165103 of Chapter 31, United States Code, no digital money issued by a central bank shall be deemed legal tender. Several constituents of Senator Lankford's office have voiced fear for the Treasury could phase out paper money and transition to a digital dollar, as Lankford related. As he put it, many Oklahomans still prefer hard currency, or at least the option of hard currency. I believe we should be left with an option. In other words, if a CBDC was to roll out, we should still have the option to use paper money. And I think that's something that should happen throughout the entire world. So now, the big news all around the mainstream media news was the fact that we had no leader for the House of Representatives. Well, they brought in Kevin McCarthy, another World Economic Forum hack, in my opinion. And the first thing he's going to do is our very first bill will repeal funding for the 87,000 new IRS agents. That could be a good thing, because I believe those IRS agents are that $600 that a person makes online, maybe on a side gig or selling something out of their house, that should be pushed up to $10K at this point. Look at inflation. You mean to tell me somebody makes like $600 and all of a sudden they have to pay taxes on it? I think that's a little bit overboard. So mainstream media provokes chaos, stress, conflict, negativity, consumerism, division, narcissism, violence, greed, distractions. They want to control your mind, body, and spirit. Reject it and start living a life of positivity, abundance, and prosperity. And that's how we got to look at our crypto holdings. We got to be positive about them, optimistic. We got to hold all those visions we ever had for XRP. This video that I made today, you should definitely share with a family member. Make them aware of bail-ins, because I believe at some point that's going to happen. Even if they're not into crypto, at least tell them that their money might not be as safe as they think in the bank right now. Because everything is pushing to killing off the current financial system so they could usher in the new system, the digital system, the CBDC system. And hopefully, and I pray that Mel Gibson makes that movie. And if he does, we need to get it trending everywhere. Everyone needs to see that movie if he makes it, if they allow it to happen. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you watching my videos. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.